In today's episode, we will be discussing, is a degree required to be a successful software engineer? Hey, what's up?
I'm the Coder Kid.
And I'm Mr. Miyagi, and welcome to our show.
So first we'll dive into, can you get a job, any job, without the degree?
Right.
So what have you seen, since we're both in the industry, we can kind of talk about personal experience. So first off, we both have degrees, or
Right.
I
Yes.
have a degree
Yes.
in computer science, yours is
in computer science, computer information
science.
Well,
so.
computer information systems.
Whoa,
So yeah,
different.
Yeah.
You're
Slightly
not,
different.
You're not in this club.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You're more
No.
theory.
But, yeah, I'm more theory, he's application. So we both have degrees. But can we get a job or any job without it?
Right. I used to think early on that you couldn't get a software engineer job without
Any
a degree.
job? Oh yeah.
With software
Yeah.
engineering job
Yeah.
without a degree.
Yeah.
And that's why I originally went to school, because I
Right.
felt like if I wanted to get into software development, I definitely needed the degree.
You're told by the world.
Yeah, I'm told by the world. Yes, but now in general, if we want to expand it broader, can you get any job without a degree? Yeah, you can. But the more professional the position, I historically thought that you did need a degree for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe for some you do.
Yeah.
I think to be an accountant, you probably need certifications and you need a degree in accounting to be an accountant. But to be a
that's a
payroll
different
manager.
industry.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general. We're talking a broader context.
Some fields
some
are locked down.
If your expertise is in payroll, you don't necessarily need a degree in
Right.
payroll. I know a very, very successful person that does
Right.
payroll, and she makes great money.
Right.
In
degree.
fact, even more than some of them that have degrees, and she's more competent than some
Yeah.
of those that don't
Right.
that do have the degree. So it's software engineering. I used to think you did, but I'm finding now that you really don't.
Right. See, and I think it's a loaded question, because there are some jobs, like I know aerospace, like working for Boeing or something like that, you do have to have a degree because they really care about being accredited and physics and stuff like that.
Right.
Probably even if you're not working on stuff that deals with that, just to be employed. And then I know finance, there's some strict, like suit and tie jobs
Right.
that really care about having a degree, and they won't even look at your thing if you don't.
Well, and see, that goes back to
So-
what I'm saying. There are some specialty,
Right.
professions that you do need to have it. But in general,
Yeah, you can definitely get a job. If you're just trying to get a job or many jobs, you can probably get 80%, if not more,
right
of the
right.
jobs out there without a degree just fine. So one of the drawbacks that I think about, when the question is proposed, do I get a college degree or do I not, is kind of the debt part of it. So college is expensive. It's more expensive now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
So something I would think about, and I did think about when I was going to school, is like the debt to income. So what my
Right.
actual income is projected to be at right out of school, and how much debt I'm willing to take on.
Right,
And I would do
right.
that for any
Yeah.
degree, not
Right.
just software engineering. But like coming out of computer science or something related, your income threshold is a little higher than some others, a little
Right.
lower than some others too. But it's a pretty good starting point.
Right. And I think that you touch on something that every student or even an adult in their later years wants to consider is debt to income. And what the ceiling is, and what the starting salary would be for someone who wants to get into software engineering. And I would say it's definitely worth it. Because the money you're going to make in software engineering is going to, in my opinion, offset the debt.
Right. Yeah. It just depends. Just like with anything, I know, I got my degree personally at a small state school, so it was like 20 grand or something. It's not that much money. It's really cheap. And I know somebody who went to a private school in Texas that's like 200 grand down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez, was it really worth that difference? Because he's at the same place when I was consulting for a
Mhm.
company. He was at the same exact place, same exact level. I don't know if the numbers were the same, but I mean, it's pretty the same. We got the same job.
Right,
And
right.
I'm like, was it really worth, did you get 150 more or more than that really out
Yeah.
of that experience? And I
Right.
don't know. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, and you know, I went the private route, and I took on some good debt. If I could go back differently, I probably would have taken some of the basics at a community college. But you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
but you know, I did spend a lot. I had to take some student loans out, but
Yeah.
like I said, for me, it was worth the risk, and it was worth the debt because you know, my income.
Right. Your threshold
Yeah,
is higher.
the threshold's
Yeah.
way higher. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and
And it's just something you have to personally about. Obviously, if you have the opportunity to take no debt out and just do it, like that'd be awesome.
right.
But it's not always realistic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
So
not always.
so let's go into another question, like salary. So a lot of people think without a degree, will it affect my salary?
Right.
And this is kind of what went into my decision of actually deciding to go to college instead of just quitting at the trade school route.
Right.
So I went to a trade school, just a 2-year program, and then I decided to move on because I had the thought that, hey, I don't think salary will be as high right out of the gate, anyways.
Right.
So
right.
what's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think, and we've touched on this in other videos about salary. I think that initially, when you first get into software development, whether or not your first job that you get, you have a degree, or your first job you get, you don't have a degree, I think it really does make a difference in salary.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
I
agree.
think that that you're looking probably at another $10,000 difference.
Yeah,
in
probably more than that.
maybe even
yeah.
more. Maybe I'm being conservative, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it too extreme. But you know, I truly believe that when you're just getting into the industry, you know, the degree helps you a lot.
And I think just getting it, it's important to say like your first job, because I think at a certain point you get closer and closer.
Right. Right.
If not like the same. So, I mean, after a few years in the industry, we don't really care about degrees. I don't really look at
Right.
degrees. I just kind of assume people have them, but if they don't, I
Well,
don't knock
yeah,
them.
yeah, and that goes back to your resume too. When you go in,
Yeah.
when you go into interviews and stuff like that, people, you know, I don't really look at. Maybe I do. I can't remember the
Yeah.
last 2 people I interviewed. Did I really look at and see if they had a degree? I mainly looked at their experience and what their you know, their tools were. You know, when I mean tools, you know, what languages are they
Right.
familiar with? What
Yeah.
software applications? What dev environments are they working in, and things like that. That was more important to
And
me
it
at that point.
all comes down to the whiteboard once you come in.
Yeah,
that's all we
whiteboard.
care about. Once
Yeah.
you got in, we throw all that about.
Yeah, and you know, as you get more and more experience, you know, on your resume, your salary will go up.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I mean,
just naturally.
you know,
so.
unless you're laid off, I mean, then you don't have as much leverage. But if you are already in a job
Yeah.
and you've got some really good experience and you've got some AWS or some Azure experience, then you're going to, you know, probably get more money jumping jobs, you know, into your next one.
Right.
You know, so the degree or no degree is not really going to matter
Yeah,
at that
not
point.
really relevant.
You know,
So we just need developers.
Yes,
Like we just
yeah.
we don't care. There's
and in
just
our
a
area,
need.
we are very fortunate that even with COVID, that our industry's hot in this
Can't
area.
Say that word.
What? Oh, well, you know, hey, I said it.
But yeah, no, we.
But it is hot.
I-
Our area is
yeah,
hot. This
I-
region is hot for
Right.
software engineers.
Yeah, I
know.
haven't. I mean, there are people out there hurting and needing jobs and stuff, but for the most part, it didn't. It did. As much as it sounded doom and gloom,
Mhm,
it
mhm.
hasn't. I haven't seen that because I made a jump during it. I was
Mhm.
comfortable in my job, but I still jumped, and
Yep.
then you also jumped
Yep.
during it, so it didn't seem that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But we could just be, I mean, missing something.
Right,
maybe
right.
Not. So,
But
I don't
like-
want,
like-
I don't want to be insensitive to people who haven't found things.
Right.
So.
But you know, to sum up the specific topic, salary. You know, you can make more. It only comes into consideration when you're first starting out. The point is as you gain more experience, your salary is going to go up anyway.
Right.
So,
Yep.
you know.
Okay, so do we know anybody personally that, like, we're talking all this big talk, like, yes, you can get a job, but do we know anybody personally that does not have degrees, or do we
Yes.
kind of just stay in our lane? If you have a degree, you can come talk to me. If not, get out of here.
Right. No, the last 3 jobs I've had, I've been fortunate to work with people that don't have degrees,
Yep.
and they're very competent.
Yeah.
They're hardworking.
Right.
They're eager to learn, and they're eager to
Right.
to get into
Because
into
they
the
know
industry.
they don't have a degree,
Right.
and a lot of them like work harder than the people who just fall back on the degree. They're like, "Oh, I'll always have a job," or I don't know the ration behind it, but
Right.
some of them work so much harder and are so much better devs too.
Right.
That,
And to get to that point too, because it's a awful truth that it is harder to get into a software engineering job without a degree.
Yeah.
And if you do get into it, that person has spent a lot of time and
Right.
effort learning what they're going to
Yeah,
be doing. So
because they got to compete with all these
Yeah.
people who have degrees.
Right,
and,
right.
And
So
that's kind of what
you know,
society tells us is
Right. So
fair,
they come in.
you know?
They come in with a really good work ethic
Yeah.
already, and
a lot of them do. Yeah.
they've been immersed in a specific programming language, whether it's
Right.
C# or it's JavaScript or
Mhm.
front end development or whatever.
Mhm.
They have an extreme amount of hours that they've spent just trying to learn so that they can get into the door. So
Right.
the devs that I know that don't have degrees, they're great developers.
Yeah.
They really are.
Rockstars, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I go into a school like that route, if I try to get a degree, should I go big? Like, should I go to Stanford, MIT, private schools? I think Stanford, MIT, if you have the opportunity, definitely probably worth it just
Yeah.
because opportunities. But let's talk about like private school over state school. Like, say we have 2 schools in Texas. One's a private college and one's a public college. Really, you look at where they go to the same workplaces.
Yeah.
So is it worth it to go big?
I went the technical school route. So although my degree, I do have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
I didn't go to a state college.
Right. So
I
more
didn't
of
go to a private
Oh,
college.
It's like in between. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it was kind of in between. It wasn't an ITT Tech or anything like that.
Right.
But it was a school that afforded a bachelor's degree, and my driving force for going there is that I didn't want to be in college for 5 years, and
Oh,
they had
so it was like accelerated.
yeah, it was an accelerated course,
Yeah.
and I was told that I would get a degree in 36 months, and I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I went 3 years straight, all
Yeah.
year round, 3 semesters
Yeah.
a year. But I think that private versus public and prestige,
Right.
all play into factors of deciding where you want to go. Because if you
Right.
go to, a Texas school that's really good with, if you go to Texas Tech,
Mhm.
they're known for, their
Right,
tech
that stuff,
degrees.
yeah.
SMU, another really good,
Yeah.
they have a really good, IT department too. So those are more prestigious, but,
But you see them next to it. Like at our company, we
Yeah.
have people from those schools. It's like, was it really worth it? Would you
Right.
gain extra besides like more debt? And that's kind of how I look at it. Is like they're probably so far.
probably
into
paying for the
debt.
prestige.
right? And it's like, was it worth it? Because you're right next to me.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so in my opinion, it's not really worth it. But I mean, you do get some connections and stuff like that. So
Right.
maybe it'll lead to something one day, and I'll be sitting in the shadow, like,
Right.
wish I went to private school. I doubt it, but it could go.
Well, if I was going to, if I had an option of going to like a Harvard or a MIT or something like that,
Yeah.
or any prestigious school, I probably would have jumped at it too.
Right, yeah.
But the industry historically has been a good industry to be in. I've always said that IT, medical, and judicial fields are
Right.
a constant. Those are the best fields to get into.
Yeah.
No pun intended to anyone else who's not in those fields, but really, if you look at the future, those are
Right.
really the constants.
Yeah.
Medical and IT mainly will always be around.
For sure.
So I don't know. I think that it just depends on what your if you think that going to a prestigious school and you can absorb the debt to income ratio.
Yeah, if you can validate it, go for it.
Yeah,
I just don't
yeah.
think it's not like if you're going to a state school, you can't get these jobs.
Right.
Once at a certain point, it comes to if you know what you're doing.
Right.
Once you get in.
Mm-hmm. And we have a big mix, like you said. We have a mix where we are at currently that we all just work together, and it really doesn't matter what school we're at because we're all working towards a common goal, which is enhancing a product or a platform.
Good software.
Shipping good software. So
Yeah, no, there's going to be private school kids, there's going to be public school, there's going to be no school kids. So really it doesn't matter. And I mean, this video is the college degree required. It's not really, it can get you a head start in your degree, in your path. And then if you're looking into specific paths, if you really care, like you really want to work in aerospace or something really heavy in physics, then you'll probably have to get it. But if you want to work at Google or be in the cloud area, like we are with SaaS, you don't really need it. But it may help like starting out.
Right.
So we'll end the video there, and definitely leave your comments, your thoughts. Do you think a college degree is required? Do you have one? That would be cool to find out how many out there don't have one.
Right. Yeah, I would really like to hear in comment section people that don't have degrees and how they got into their position and
how they overcame the obstacles and what obstacles are we missing? Because we both have degrees, we haven't been on that path. So maybe we're making it out to be really easy, and maybe it's not. But these are our thoughts. So
all right, well, take care.
Appreciate it.